Hey there, sweet dismembers. And we know dismembers are our listeners, our followers, our loyal friends. They're the people we count on to keep us honest, keep us accountable, and keep us going. Because at the end of the day, we're doing all of this for you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to this episode. Welcome to our first official Morgue Mailbag episode.
Yay!
Yay, woo-woo! After our follow-up episode about CODIS and missing persons cases, a lot of you had questions, not just about organ, not just about policy, but about the science itself. How does DNA actually work? Why does it sometimes solve a case instantly or in days and other times give you absolutely nothing? How long can DNA survive? And what happens when remains are badly degraded? So today is Nerd Bait Day. That's
Yay!
right.
Yep.
My favorite day.
Yeah, your favorite day, of course. And let's be honest, full disclosure, this is very much Nikki's playground.
Hop on the
She
seesaw.
she is the brain,
No.
right? I am here to ask the questions, slow her down when needed, and translate for the rest of us who don't casually use phrases like "you lyric dropout" in everyday conversation. Right?
Well, I only use that once or twice a day. So
Right. So buckle up and let's start with the big one.
Okay, hit me with your best shot.
So why can DNA identify someone instantly in one case and in another case give you absolutely nothing? Because that's the part people don't really understand.
Yeah, because Mindy, DNA is biology. It's not freaking magic.
I wish it was.
I know DNA never does identify anyone instantly anyway. So we know DNA is a tool in forensic science, just like fingerprints, just like dental records. It's comparative. It's a comparative science, but it's still biological material, and biological material degrades. Heat breaks it down. Moisture encourages things like bacteria. UV light damages the structure of DNA, and time just keeps really chipping away at it. And I know television has convinced people that if you shine a blue light around a room and dramatically put on sunglasses with your fucking stilettos, the killer's name appears glowing on the wall, right?
That is how it works.
In semen.
Yes.
Ew. That is not how this works. So let's talk turkey. Let's talk wild turkey.
Yep.
If you have a pristine sample, like a fresh blood standard or fresh blood stain, that's really a dream scenario for a DNA analyst because there's plenty of intact DNA there. It's easy to extract. It's a clean amplification process, and it usually creates a beautiful DNA profile. But most forensic evidence, not even close. It's things like decomposed tissue. It's skeletal remains. It's a microscopic stain that's been sitting in the environment, getting sunburnt, rained on, and generally abused by Mother Nature for years. When DNA degrades, it fragments. And when it fragments, we don't always get a full profile. Sometimes we get partial results. Sometimes we get something too weak to enter into CODIS. And sometimes we get absolutely nothing. That doesn't mean the science failed. It means the biology didn't survive. So think of DNA like a really long sentence written on a strip of paper. If that strip gets, say, shredded into tiny pieces, you can still read parts of the sentence. But eventually, the pieces get so small that the sentence stops making sense. That's what degraded DNA looks like to a scientist.
So DNA isn't unreliable. It's just working with whatever scraps the environment left behind.
That's a great way to describe it. And when I used to reopen cold cases and dig through old evidence, opening those boxes could certainly be an adventure, sometimes a stinky adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes crime scene analysts way back in the day, preserved evidence beautifully. Other times, opening up a cold case piece of evidence, we'd find swabs floating in moldy tubes. We'd find evidence sealed wet in plastic bags. We'd see slides glued shut with decades old mounting media. We see hairs spilling out of envelopes like forensic confetti. So, yeah, sometimes opening cold case evidence felt a little like forensic archaeology.
Ew. So instead of Indiana Jones dusting off pottery shards, you're opening envelopes full of questionable biological souvenirs.
Souvenirs. I like that. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And one thing forensic scientists hate with the intensity of 1,000 suns is plastic evidence bags, because plastic traps in moisture. Moisture grows bacteria. Bacteria eat DNA. So if you ever watch a crime show where someone collects wet evidence and seals it in like a glorious plastic bag, every forensic scientist watching just screamed at the television.
All right. Gross.
Yeah.
So, okay, great description.
Thank you.
Next question. How long can DNA realistically survive? Because when people hear 60 or 70 years, they assume you're exaggerating.
Yeah. So the honest answer, it depends. I know that sounds kind of like a cop-out. And yes, it is a cop-out. But here's the rule investigators learn early on. This is what forensic scientists teach investigators when we teach them how to collect evidence in the field. This is the number one point. Dry is stable. So if biological evidence is dried properly, packaged in breathable material like paper, and stored in a cool environment, it can remain viable for decades. Because moisture accelerates degradation, heat speeds up chemical reactions and processes, sunlight damages the DNA structure, but dry, cool, and dark conditions slow everything down. And skeletal material is especially resilient. The outer cortical bone acts like protective armor for the inner cancellous or spongy bone where cellular DNA remains. So if a bone is intact and animals haven't chewed the hell out of it, like chewed both ends off of it and exposed the interior of the shaft to bacteria, there's often usable DNA inside. And let me tell you, animals love bones. So coyotes, raccoons, rodents, everyone wants a jab at the snack. Let me tell you, it's like a Vegas buffet.
Yeah, for sure.
Human body, Vegas buffet, which is deeply inconvenient for forensic science. Private labs have successfully extracted DNA profiles from bone that were 60 to 70 years old. They've done it quite often. It's pretty incredible when you think about that.
So dry, cool, and dark conditions, kind of like me.
Yeah, kind of like mushrooms.
Right?
Oh, no, wait, mushrooms need moisture. Never mind.
Right. So time alone isn't the enemy. It really is exposure.
Exactly. Time plus environment is what does the damage.
All right. So let's say DNA is really, really degraded. Is that the end of the road? Is that game over?
Game over, man. No.
Game over.
It just means we switch tools, Mindy. Most people associate DNA with CODIS. CODIS uses STR testing, or short tandem repeats. The easiest way to think about STR testing is it's like a barcode. Each person has a slightly different pattern of repeating sections. When analysts compare two samples, they're essentially lining up the barcodes. It's a real simplistic way to look at it, but it's a good visual. If the patterns match, you have an identification. But those STR regions are relatively long pieces of DNA. When DNA fragments, those longer sections are harder to recover. So when STR testing fails, we pivot. One option is mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is inherited from the biological mother and exists in many more copies per cell, so it survives degradation better. The downside, though, it isn't unique to one individual. It can only associate someone to a maternal line. That means the DNA, the genetic material from your mother. Then there are SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms. These are tiny single base differences scattered across the genome. The fragments used in SNP testing are much smaller, so they can be recovered even from degraded DNA. SNP profiles are what allow investigative genetic genealogy. Instead of searching for an exact match, analysts look for relatives and build family trees from that genetic information.
So basically the science version of when your aunt finds out you're related to someone weird on ancestry.com.
Yes, it's a robust way to find connections between familial lineages.
Yeah.
Except in our version, the weird relative might be like a serial killer.
I mean, let's be honest, secretly, that's why we did our genetic genealogy. We used 23andMe. I was kind of hoping I was related to a serial killer, to be fair.
Have you gotten the results back?
Oh, yeah. Not
a Bundy cousin?
Not a Bundy cousin.
Damn it.
Yet. There's always hope, right?
Hey, you know what? And just keep on adding those profiles out there, dismembers, into these databases. Maybe Mindy can get a hit.
I don't know why. I've always thought that would be fun. So fair.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're talking about that's fair.
Yeah. But this type of testing, DNA testing, is innovative and it's expensive. So investigative genetic genealogy cases can run anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000 per case, and that's using those SNP profiles and not the STR profiles. So degraded DNA isn't hopeless. It just becomes more complicated and certainly more expensive because you're using really high quality private laboratories to do the analysis.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk TV. Everybody knows where I stand. Okay. TV's a giant lie. What's the biggest lie crime shows tell people about forensic science?
How much time do we have?
I know, right? Like, let's limit it to one or two, but really the big one.
Okay, let me think. I think probably the biggest lie among others, is that all agencies are just seamlessly connected through one giant, perfectly functioning national information system. That, Mindy, does not exist. Right. There are databases, very robust databases that do exist. We have separate systems. NCIC is one of them. NamUs is another. CODIS is another one. Each does something different, and they do not automatically talk to each other. So NamUs, for example, is the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. It's a clearinghouse of information where medical examiners, investigators, and even families can enter information about missing people. And our medical examiner's office can enter information about unidentified remains that have come into the morgue. It's incredibly useful. But again, it only works if people enter the information and enter it correctly, accurately, right? So CODIS only compares DNA profiles that have been uploaded. It doesn't magically search the internet. It doesn't scan dental records nationwide. It doesn't call up your dentist and ask for x-rays. Databases are only as powerful as the information entered into them. If no one uploads the data, the system has nothing to search against.
Right. As my colleague in database land says, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, there's a reason that statement exists.
Right. And so CODIS is not psychic, right?
How cool would it be if CODIS, a database run by the FBI, was psychic? But correct.
Right.
CODIS is not psychic.
So it's not sitting there like some forensic crystal ball waiting to solve crimes.
No, it is not. Yeah. Not like on TV. for sure.
Right.
Exactly.
Lies. It's all
So,
lies, people.
right. It compares what exists in the system, not what should have been entered, but what has actually been entered. And hopefully what has been entered is correct.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. So, quick definition moment, because we talk about this often. So, cold case versus inactive case. Really, what's the difference?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you, Dismember, for whoever came up with that.
Yeah.
So, Morgue Mailbag, kicking out some good questions.
People are smart.
I know they are. So let's make them even smarter by giving them the difference between a cold case and an active case. A cold case is still active. It's unsolved, but investigators continue pursuing leads. An inactive case means there are currently no viable investigative paths left. But that doesn't mean it stays inactive forever. New evidence, new technology, or new information can bring a case back to life. That's exactly how cases from, say, like the 1970s and the 1980s are being solved right now. Evidence that sat untouched for decades suddenly becomes testable because the science really caught up.
Right. It exists now where it didn't exist before.
Yeah, some amazing technology updates in the last really 10 years.
Yeah. So let's be honest. What actually causes identification efforts to stall? Is it funding? Is it staffing? Is it priority?
A, B, or C? The answer is D.
All of the above.
Yes, all of the above. You know, detectives transfer out of units, evidence gets reassigned, DNA labs face backlogs. Training a forensic DNA scientist takes years. And sometimes agencies simply don't have access to the resources they need. If missing person DNA isn't processed and uploaded into CODIS, it can't match anything because it's not in the database. It's really that simple.
Right. And again, priorities, funding, it's all of them.
Yes.
It's not always just the lack of the want.
That's true.
Right. Again, we've said it many times before. The professionals that deal with these cases are some of the best, whether it's the crime scene analyst, the forensic scientist, the investigator. These are passionate, hardworking individuals. But sometimes roadblocks are put in front of them.
Yes. You know, manifestation is a big thing right now. Like, I manifest blank. Well, I manifest $7 million.
Yes.
So that the medical examiner's office and the human identification program that I left when I retired can identify every single nameless soul in the freezer.
Yep.
However, it doesn't work like that, right?
Doesn't work like that.
Nope. Okay, we need priorities. We need money.
Right. Money, priorities, focus. Yep.
Right. Focus. I need to focus.
Well, we don't, but
sorry.
So last question, and this one matters because behind all of this science, there are families waiting for answers. And this one comes up for me personally a lot. A lot of people who I know and that are following us along because they like us have asked this. So how often are unidentified remains eventually identified?
That's a great question. Thank you again, Dismembers. You know, and the answer, Mindy, is quite often when there is commitment and resources. So let me explain. Identifications of unidentified decedents happen every day through fingerprint comparison, dental records, visual identification, even DNA comparisons, and offender database matches. Sometimes it takes hours or days. Sometimes it takes decades. But when the system works, people do get their names back. Families get answers. And sometimes after decades, someone finally gets to come home. And what I also want to add is that there's we talk about the people behind the priorities or the people behind these decisions. There are people behind the fingerprint comparison, the dental record comparison, the visual identification. We're talking forensic scientists, latent print examiners, forensic odontologists, board certified forensic pathologists, forensic anthropologists, DNA analysts. We have humans that work every day to identify the people that we need identified here in Oregon. And again, sometimes after decades, someone finally gets to come home. So those are a few questions from our Morgue Mailbag. Thank you, dismembers, for setting us up for success. Because I kind of knew the answer to all of them. Whee!
Right. Exactly.
But before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you. If you stuck with us through all the science today, we appreciate you, dismembers. These conversations aren't always easy, but they matter and they're not over. We're going to answer more questions for you for sure.
And always, we want to hear from you. Send us your questions, your comments, message us. Tell us what topics you want us to tackle next, because these Morgue Mailbag episodes, well, they're built around you, our dismembers.
That's true. Dismembers only. And how do you become a dismember? You follow.
Yeah. You like, you subscribe.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Go to meetatthemorgue.org. Go to our website and take a look there. But you know what? Until then, Mindy, I need a drink.
Oh, always. Always.
So let's meet.
Preferably with snacks.
Snacks and maybe some booze, but not Jell-O. But no. Where exactly would you like to meet?
Nikki, meet me at the morgue.
I'm there.